Welcome to another episode of Universal Gaming. I'm your host, Paula Brandt. Today's show, we're going to talk about Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, how to make a character. It's in stores now. Hand and Foot is a card game played with multiple decks of 52 cards. And Sci-Fi Central, October 2018, we'll visit that. If you have any questions or comments, or if you'd like to get in touch with us with ideas for the show, you can email me at brandtp23@yahoo.com. I am your host, Paula Brandt. Today we're going to be discussing character creation for 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons. We picked this edition because it's what's currently in the stores in 2018. You can buy this in the stores right now. It's a fun version of the game. I did another video about the different versions of D&D and the history. If you'd like to check that out, it'll be on YouTube channel Brandt P23. I made a booklet to explain the different editions of Dungeons & Dragons, and if you'd like a copy of that, you can email me at brandtp23@yahoo.com. The first thing you need for any edition is going to be paper, pencil, dice, character sheet, and your player's handbook. Now, that's any edition. Your game master or your dungeon master running the game is going to be able to help you figure out how to make your character, what level, how much gold you get, things like that. But we're just going to go through the basics of how you can make a character today. So first, take your scrap sheet of paper, and you're going to need your dice. First thing we're going to do is figure out ability scores. These are the things that your character is good at. These are the numbers. Its strength is your natural athleticism or bodily power. Dexterity is reflexes. Balance, physical agility. Constitution is health and stamina. Intelligence is mental acuity, information recall, and an analytical skill. Wisdom is awareness, intuition, and insight. And the sixth one, charisma, is confidence, eloquence, and leadership. Some people call charisma etiquette, but that's just an idea. Your ability scores are found on page 13 of your player's handbook. It explains them in detail there. Now, there are 3 different ways to figure out your ability scores. You need to ask your game master how they want you to do it, but these are the 3 ways. Okay, the first way is your dungeon master might pick them for you. He'll say you have 14, 13, 12, 10, 5. The other way, the second way, is to roll dice. And the third way is to use the point buy system. If your dungeon master picks them for you, then that's what you get. I've had dungeon masters tell me you've got low numbers of 13, 12, 11, 9, and so that you've got negatives next to them. Other dungeon masters have given me 18s, which means it's going to be a high-powered game. It's up to the game master. Now, the second way to do this is to roll dice. You're going to take 4 D6. D6 stands for your 6-sided dice. D is short for dice, and 6 is the number of sides it has. So if you have a D20, that's a 20-sided dice. A D12 is a 12-sided dice. You get the picture. So you're going to take 4 6-sided dice. You're going to roll them on the table, and you're going to add the top 3 numbers. Let's say you get a 3, a 2, a 5, and a 1. You're going to add those numbers together, and you're going to get 8, 9, 10. Now, that's one of your 6 ability scores. If your game master says you can re-roll the ones once, and you re-roll that one and you get a 6, now you're going to add your top 3 numbers. 6, 5, and 3 is 14. So now your ability score is 14. If the dungeon master says that you don't re-roll the ones, you're just going to take that 10. But if you re-roll the ones, then you're going to take the top 3 numbers. Now another way, you're going, now that's just one of your scores, one of your 6 ability scores. You're going to roll 6 of those, and you're going to put them where you need them. If you want a strong character, you're going to put a high number in strength. If you want a bowman, you're going to put a higher number in dexterity. The last way to figure out ability scores is the point buy system. So let's use the example on page 13 of the Player's Handbook. And basically the point buy system is you have a number of points that you can spend to buy your scores. So on page 13, give me a second, the point buy system, like for example, 12 costs 4 points, 13 costs 5 points. Let's say your Dungeon Master says you've got 27 point buy. That means you've got 27 points to spend on these scores. And then your ability scores and modifiers chart on page 13 is what those scores are going to be. Now when we put these on our character sheet, I have a character sheet here. Let's say the Game Master told me what scores I get. So I'm going to make, let's see, what do I want to make? I'm going to make a fighter. So I'm going to make his strength high. I'm going to put 18 in his strength. I want him to be able to survive a lot of attacks. So I've got 17. Let's just pretend that I rolled these numbers. And I don't really want him to be a good bowman, so I'm going to put that as a 13. Dexterity, charisma, not very pretty looking, not very fluent. Wisdom, I'll put that at a 14. And then intelligence is going to be a 15. So he's a little smart, he's very strong, very good at surviving attacks. Now the next thing we want to figure out on our character sheet is race. Races start on page 17. You have dwarves, elves, humans, halflings, gnomes, half-elves, half-orcs, tieflings, dragonborn. There are others in other books, but think of it along the lines of Lord of the Rings. You're in medieval times, you've got these vast different types of races. All of those were in Lord of the Rings if you've ever seen that. And I'll let you read those races and pick your own. I'm doing human, so we're going to put human, our human fighter. Human's going to go under race here. Now the next thing we need to decide is what class we're going to be. Classes start on page 45. There's classes like barbarian, fighter, cleric, wizard. The descriptions are in the book. You can pick what you want. I'm going to do fighter. So we're going to put class, fighter, level 1. Okay? Now the next thing, you pick equipment. Equipment is on page 143. It goes by class, and fighter gets 5d4 times 10. So you take your 5 four-sided dice, roll them, add them together, times it by 10. We'll say that I rolled and I got 100. So I've got 100 gold I can spend. And we're going to do this on our scrap sheet of paper. This is why you need paper. So we've got 100 gold we can spend. As we look through the equipment chapter, we're going to subtract. Okay, we're going to say we got full plate armor, and that cost an amount. And we'll put our number here. And we'll just keep going, and then we'll put the extra gold on our sheet where it belongs. It's a good idea to write this stuff on an extra sheet, because that way you know how much you spent, and you can also show your game master this is how you calculated it. Now, so there we have it, a basic fighter for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons. Thank you for joining me. Next time we'll pick another role play game and we'll go from there. I'm going to show you how to play a card game called Hand and Foot. It's a game using 4 standard 52 card poker decks. You need at least 4 players, and if there are more than 4 players, you add another deck. So if you have 5 players, you add a 5th deck, 6 players, a 6th deck. If you have 4 or less, you have 4 decks. Now I have 4 decks here, and basically it's a lot like Rummy. You're going to make triple plays, and once you get 80 points in your hand, then you can play them. And then you can play off of other people's plays. So you're going to start, everyone gets 7 cards, and you choose which pile is your hand and which pile is your foot. So this is our deck. These are our 4 decks. You deal out 2 piles of 7 cards. And you're going to decide which pile is going to be your hand and which one is your foot. Your hand you're going to look at right now, and your foot you're going to set aside. Now, the cards are worth points. Ace is 100 points. King, Queen, and Jack are 10 points. Red 3 is negative 150, so you want to get rid of those. Black 3 is 0 points. 2 is a wild card, which is worth 20 points. So you would use that as your 3rd card to make your triple. And all other cards are 5 points. So we're not going to worry about the points now until you tally your points at the end. And the person to 1,000 points first takes about 3 rounds if you have 4 people. And you can agree on a point limit for when the game is won as well. But typically it's 1,000. Now, each turn, players draw 2 cards. You play the matches you can in front of you, the triples, and then you discard one. And after you have 80 points in front of you, then you can play off of other people's triples. So if somebody's got kings out and you don't, and you've got your 80 points in front of you, then you can play off of them, but you play it in front of you. So let me show you how this happens. Okay, so it's my turn. I've already picked my hand and picked my foot. I draw 2 cards. I have 3 kings, so I can play my 3 kings right now. I don't have 80 points yet, so I can't play off of other people, but I can play my 3 kings. Then it's the next, then I discard one. Red 2, that's going to be negative points later, so I'm going to discard it. Now, next person goes. They can pick up 2 here, or they can pick up 1 and the discard. You're not going to want to pick up the 2, but they're going to do that. But it's possible. So now my turn, I draw 2 cards. I don't have a triple, so I'm going to discard that one. Next person's turn. Then later in the game, when you've got all of your cards gone, when you've got all of your cards in your hand gone, once you're done with the cards in your hand, you may pick up and use your foot. But you can't do so until you've used all of the cards in your hand. You must play everything that you can out of your hand without discarding in order to pick up your foot. If you have to discard, then you can't get into your foot yet. You're going to, on your turn, draw your 2 cards. Once you have no cards in your foot, you can only stop the game if you discard, I believe. Once you are out of cards in your foot, the round is over and everyone tallies points. You do not need to discard your foot. You have to discard. You cannot discard out of your hand to pick up your foot. If you have to discard, then you can't pick up your foot yet. If you're done with your foot, then the game's over and we tally points. It's a fun game for 4 people or more. If you like to play cards, it's a lot like Rummy. Thanks for joining us.
Awake, silly fool, lurking to see justice. Those 3 fairies better watch out for Sif Maleficent.
entire overarching game is staggered your battle games, but within each area, there's a loose geographical location called a chapter or realm, depending on who you talk to. There's no like specific, oh, this city is this chapter, but we kind of stick to unofficial lines. Like we don't want to, we're the Fort Wayne chapter. We don't necessarily want to have the drama of some guys.
No, no, it is not. Yeah, we are considered a LARP, but we don't really have. No one's throwing fireballs. We do have healing poems. They're 180 syllables long, and you can use them in our games. We typically don't. Most of ours, our LARPing is taking character names, taking on a persona, and just.
You're more physical. Yes. We like to consider ourselves a combat sport.
Yeah. So there is no technical requirement because we are a sport. When you start off, you can come wearing blue jeans and a t-shirt, and we will welcome you with open arms. That is the great thing about this sport, is that it is an all-inclusive, welcoming environment. Never actually been in any type of group or sport where I just walked in and felt so part of everything. And we have veterans who have played the game for 5 years, 10 years, some 20 years, and they're all willing to help out and get you your uniform how you want it made. So
we were based off of Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, medieval fantasy, but also historical. I mean, because Osric here is what is your official title? You're one of my dwarf king's guards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And technically, I'm a dire dwarf. I'm just a really tall dwarf. But I choose to go for a more historical look with the Eastern European look.
Learning and teaching, we always tap our swords together.
It's kind of a salute. Means
Well, the game could not be played without personal honor. Somebody that's out there just blowing off shots, it makes it very difficult. The game could not be played fun unless you'd be out there to be honorable.
This is Science Central's annual science fiction festival. We have activities throughout the entire building and going on all day. The topics range everything from medieval battling to Harry Potter stuff, which is directly behind me, Star Wars stuff, such as my tie, Star Trek activities, virtual reality demonstrations, lecturers talking about Frankenstein and Mary Shelley. It's literally, I like that, going on all day with every type of activity that you can imagine related to science fiction.
We have here the Wizarding World of Harry Potter in the traveling exhibit, and we just have a bunch of different exhibits set up for the kids to experience.
Different stations.
They can donate $1 to Science Central and get a wand. We have Quidditch Pong, scavenger hunt, some different craft activities they can do, some different science, math-related activities. It's just a lot of different things for the kids to experience.
Okay.
When Michael killed Bob, they wanted him to be like almost like examining his handiwork. Yeah. Well, the life casting was done by Dante.
Humans, because Zeus was not allowing them to have fire. And so Prometheus stole fire from the gods of Olympus and gave it to humankind.
Make your labs really cool.
right, you could have one of each.
They switched it from the Death Star to the globe. They went after.
Gotta wave at the Wookiee. That is just odd. But okay.
That's what happens when Darth Vader gets bit by a tick.
Ah. I'll get the other.
Salads are the popular ones
They
today.
are?
I've sold one of each.
Wow.
Does it actually move around?
Yep.